Hi guys, and welcome back to the Unite Students channel. I'm Hannah, and today I'm going to talk to you all about my experience of living in Unite student accommodation. But the first point I'm going to discuss is how I felt moving in to Unite students for the first time. I moved in last year, so I'm in my first year at college and I'm studying HNC Media at City of Glasgow College. So I'm here in the wonderful city of Glasgow. So when I was looking at different accommodations, I was trying to find ones that were a good location. I found Unite Students and it was like ideal. It's within like 5-10 minutes of college and it's right next to an Aldi as well as a few other smaller and other bigger supermarkets within about maybe a 10-minute walk. And it was just like the perfect location. But I was quite excited. I was a little bit nervous because I wasn't sure exactly like what my flatmates would be like, and that was like something I wasn't worried about, but I was a bit like apprehensive of living with like 4 other people that I've never met before. I was quite apprehensive of like meeting everyone for the first time and then like having to live with them for like the next year. So in general, how I felt when I first moved in, I was excited about going to college and excited about living in my accommodation, but I was also a bit nervous about meeting my flatmates for the first time. But the second point I'm going to move on to is kind of perfect because it links it to the first point. So I'm actually going to talk about my flatmates. Overall, we all get along perfect. There's never really been any issues or problems between us. I've lost 2 flatmates, but I've gained 2 flatmates this year. And although there's been changes of new flatmates and flatmates leaving, it's never been an issue for me, and I don't think it's really been an issue for everybody else in the flat. So right back at the start when we moved in, we all moved in kind of the end of August, and Freshers Weeks was still a couple of like weeks away. We all decided to go to Freshers together. So the college hosted their white party, and it was based at the Strathclyde Union. I went along and I knew my flatmate was also going along. So I ended up just hanging out with my flatmate for the evening, which was actually quite a good thing because I ended up meeting a lot of new friends. So I became friends with a lot of his friends who were on his course. And I've remained good friends with them since. I got to meet new people. And then 2 days later, the University of Strathclyde were also hosting a white party. So as a flat, we all decided to go along to the freshers party. So we did that together. And then I hung out with one of the flatmates again, Halloween. So we ended up going out on Halloween together. But other than that, we've not really hung out a huge amount. We tend to be quite private with ourselves. Like we keep ourselves like in our rooms. And it probably sounds really antisocial, but I think it works for us. It's quite good, I think. The only thing I think that we've really had any problems with is deciding whose turn it is to do the bins in the kitchen. It seems to be that just 2 of us tend to take out the bins the most, as either everyone else doesn't want to do it or they just forget. So we've tried to do it on like a sort of rota. That bit hasn't worked for us, but everything else is fine. There's never been too much noise coming from other flatmates. We tend to be quite quiet. It's a good flat to live in, and everyone in the flat is quite friendly and we all get along. The next point I'm going on to is talking all about like my independence and my responsibility. When you move to student accommodation, you're having to become independent because you're not living at home with your parents anymore. So you have to cook for yourself and you have to clean for yourself. And to be honest, I actually really enjoy it. I think there is some people out there who are quite worried about like living by themselves in a sort of way they've not got their like parents to fall back on. But I actually really enjoy being quite independent. So I love cooking for myself. I love cooking and I love baking. And I've tested out a few cakes on my flatmates and I've had good like reviews, so I'm not going to complain. But I love like being independent and I love the responsibility. This is actually my second time moving away from home. So a couple of years ago I did like a nanny experience in Canada. So I was away for 5 months. and I was like looking after like 3 kids over there. So I had to become independent because I was having to look after them, and I had the responsibility of cooking for them and cleaning for them and just looking after them in general. So that kind of was like me thrown in at the deep end, so I had to become independent. And since then, I've just really liked being an independent person, so I just really enjoy it. I don't know what it is, but I like having like my own space and being able to do like what I want and cooking what I want. Living away from home, I enjoy it. So I obviously have to cook and I have to clean for myself and I have to do all my washing. I find that like going home for a week is kind of weird because I lose my sense of independence. I kind of feel like I don't feel as independent when I go home. So being like in Glasgow and living by like myself and living with my flatmates, I enjoy it. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but I just like being an independent person. The next point I'm going to go on to is the Unite staff. If you have any problems with either your room or your kitchen or even your flatmates, you can just basically ask them. So you can do that through the Unite app, or you can just go down to reception and like tell them like if there's an issue. The Unite staff are really helpful in that like they will do maintenance for you if needed. And they're always really friendly, like they always like a good chat, like if you see them in the hall or even at reception, they're always really friendly and you can get along with them. Your kitchen gets cleaned by a member of Unite staff every 2 weeks. So a member of staff will come and they'll clean your kitchen, so they'll like mop your floor and sweep your floor and they'll like wipe down all the sides and stuff. But you have to remember, they don't take out your bins and they will not wash your dishes. So that is something that you have to do yourself, which is also part of being an independent person and having that responsibility. That's quite nice because if you've not managed to say keep on top of keeping your kitchen clean, then they will usually do that for you unless there's too much mess in your kitchen, and they can't, then they won't. The last point I want to discuss is like my experience overall, and just kind of like telling you more about it in more of like a broad like aspect. My experience overall has been really good. I've had no problems or issues with either my room or my flatmates or the staff here. I've not felt homesick at all, which is quite nice because when I went to Canada and did the nanny job, I felt really homesick, and I've not been homesick, which has been quite nice. And I've gotten along with all my flatmates. I quite like my room and my flat and the location of it. It's always nice to bring sentimental stuff so that you don't get homesick. So I've got a couple of teddies from home, and on my like pin board, which is like right behind me, I've got like a weekly planner so I can keep up to date with things, and I've also kept all of the concert tickets I've been to, and I've got like my fairy lights in my room, so I try and keep it quite like homely. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about my experiences of living in Unite student accommodation. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Comment down below your experiences of living in Unite students accommodation, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more videos from Unite students like this in the future.